Hello. It's Uppity Unicorn, and I'm so grateful to have you here. Welcome if this is your first time, and welcome back, Unicousin. If you are here again, go on ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to be 10K Uppity, and I feel like that is in the cards for me. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and that is pumpkin spice season. I am an autumn girly, okay? So all the pumpkin spice lattes, iced coffees, blends, like I'm so here for it. Um I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so I come from the Evergreen City. It's called Seattle, excuse me, Emerald Green City. So right now there are so many colors. There's so many colors to just look at and embrace and to just walk in the rain. And I just posted a video about needing Mel's DIY or not DIY, but Mel's Seventh Avenue Beauty hair mask because I be out here in this rain, y'all. Like I don't be running from the drops. Like I'm going to get rained on SWV style. So that is my thing. And I'm like, it's also silk press season. Like the girlies are getting their hair straightened, the braids for summer are gone. So I'm like, I tried to blow dry my hair last night and, my hair isn't really used to heat, so it just kind of fluffs back up and whatever. Anyhow, this is not about Seventh Avenue Beauty today, and it's not about my hair. These are some notes that I took from Dr. Shenita Foster's live. Dr. Shenita is one of those people that you bring to your expo and you make her either a speaker, a keynote speaker, or a panelist. She's just one of these people who not only was she an NFL wife and she was married to a multimillionaire, but she also made millions on her own. She is divorced from that man after 17 years and she has made money on her own. So, just dealing with a type of woman on this kind of power level, it begs the question, like, what are we gonna do? Like, now that we found her, what are we gonna do with it? Like, shout out to Heavy D and the boys. So I know you can't see these notes, right? Like, did I remove the overlay? Yes. I know you cannot see these notes. Zoom in on your phone if you like. If you're on a laptop or desktop, good luck. All you have is the sound of my voice. But I'm going to go over those gems because honestly, it was like an hour long live. Like she was there for a pretty long time. So I wrapped it up for you if you want some $1 million gems. And one of the things that she said, I'm telling you, she motivated me that night to get on my little treadmill. I got one of them little TikTok trend treadmills where, you can slide it up under your bed, under your desk, into the corner so it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. She said the first bold heading that I have here is the power of one more. The power of one more. Just one more. Turn to your neighbor and say one more again. The power of one more again. Anyhow, the power of one more. She said, when you think you have nothing left to give, but you push yourself mentally, spiritually, physically to do just one more, you find out the stuff that you're made of and you end up being so much more congruent with your goals. So whether that is one more stretch, if it's one more squat, if it's one more lap around a track, if it's write that business plan one more time. Something made me cry. It was Marlon Wayans on Club Shay Shay when he said, we edited Scary Movie until we were crying because we had to submit 27 edits. On edit number 26, Keenan said, one more. And so Shanita's message coming right after that really hit me kind of hard. It really hit me kind of hard. I see the Wayans as the Jacksons of comedy. The Jacksons are to music what the Wayans family are to comedy in my culture. So I honor them very much. And as a person who's a writer, who was a copywriter, a copy edited, as a person who has worked, on news papers, publications from high school to undergrad to post grad. Editing can really suck. That just one more where you have to read through thousands of words, that just one more before the final product, that thing hurts. I mean, it's part of the reason why when you are an editor, for example, they will be like, all right, now get somebody else to edit it. And it's just like, I'm a whole editor. What do you mean? But your eyes will get so trained with seeing that thing that it will stop seeing errors because you're tired. And you have to send it to some absolutely, I never looked at these notes or pages eyes to be like, oh, run on sentence, this is misspelled, wrong punctuation here, whatever it is, right? Why isn't this name, why isn't this proper noun capitalized? Like what are we, you know? And it's like, oh, I didn't even notice that because I was, whatever. You were so worried about formatting, you forgot that you had a couple of spelling errors. I know my fingers, the way that I had Mavis Beacon when I was in high school, and so they taught us how to type without looking at the keyboard. But sometimes I would be so behind in my assignments that I would just stare at the keyboard, child, so I could hurry up and rush through it. And now I have this permanent adjacent key error that I do. I spell the THE. I always type it TEH. And I have to be really careful about that. And instead of AND, it'll be like ADN because I'm typing so fast. And I know that my fingers are trained to do that. So I constantly, anyhow, long story short, she was like, you've got to train your mind, and that's here. You've got to train your mind to get in the habit of just one more. When all you have to do is push through one more time. Now, that push through really reminded me of Mel, but she's like, all you got to do is push through one more time. So, literally, that whole scary movie franchise, all these things that are going on, these Wayans family movies, wouldn't have had them if it wasn't for the power of one more. Slowing down is okay. Quitting is not an option. Shanita, that's a t shirt. Shanita, that's a t shirt. Just like push through is a t shirt, just like God said go is a t shirt. This is a t shirt. Slowing down is okay. Quitting isn't an option. Don't let yourself down. And that's the next thing she said that I'm highlighting here. Don't let yourself down. And especially we as Black women, we are in the process in this dance with constantly not letting others down. We got to make sure we bring that baked mac and cheese to the church gathering, to the community this, to the feed the homeless that, to the volunteer this, to the work of that, blah blah blah, the potluck at wherever you work. Like we're so, I don't know why I'm talking about food, child, because I'm not hungry. I want some coffee, but I'm not hungry. Lord have mercy. I just had a Balkan breakfast. And if you don't know what that is, let me know in the comment section below. I will share a photograph of what I ate. But like, we are so consumed as Black women. We outnumber Black men by almost, I'll just say 2.5 million, but really it's like 2.8 million. Like, we're almost 3 million more humans, African American women, when it comes to African American men. So, like, literally, like, if every African American woman was married, there would be millions of Black women single. Right? So you wonder why men who are worthless get a big head in our community because he's got all his teeth and can tie his shoes. It's because there's so many race loyal women refusing to date outside of the race and trying to make it work with men who aren't qualified to be with them. And, we outnumber them like crazy. You go to an HBCU college campus, an eligible Black man that is there, it's like him to 9 women. The ratio is 1 to 9. It's crazy. But what I'm trying to say is because African American women especially outnumber their men so much, we are in a constant state of flux between not letting other people down, but we let ourselves down. Sometimes in the process of not letting other people down, we let ourselves down. You gave so much energy to taking care of them kids and that man and that whoever else that you put on 10 pounds, and you already had your New Year's resolution to lose that weight, to unbig your back. And in the middle of the year, your back is still big because you let yourself down. You gave everybody else, you delivered on the deliverables, baby. You delivered, but you let yourself down. And I feel like we as African American women, we don't place as much value on letting ourselves down as we do on letting other people down. And sometimes you got to tell other people no to level up. Sometimes you got to be selfish. Sometimes you got to say me first. That's really a lesson that we can learn from Melody Cherie's life, but I digress. Don't let yourself down. The power of one more gets you closer to your goal. Just one more. When you think it's just all right, kaput, I can't, there's not another step that I can take, tell yourself just one more. Give it one more try. So that is the first great big bold heading, the power of one more. That was the first lesson that she taught us. Grace and mercy was the next message. Now, I guess if you're a black woman and you have a mother wound and you didn't have the best mom, then grace and mercy is something that you need to learn from. But I know those of us who grew up with these wonderful African American matriarchs who stayed in the church and, prayed in tongues and, you know, in the shout circle at church, whatever it is, hands extended high in the air, for that blessing and hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Like we know quite a bit about grace and mercy, and we're almost in excess of grace and mercy with the way that we forgive people and allow people to be in our life. We got all kind of grace and mercy for raggedy uncles and kid touchers and people who really ruin the family, shouldn't be in the family, and we end up having the victim avoid the family before the victimizer avoids the family, because all that you need to forgive, you need to forgive, you need to forgive. But for those of us who don't have, that African American matriarch who was nothing but grace and mercy for the sake of endearing herself to her Lord, before you react, review the situation holistically. It's just a crash course in compassion she was trying to give us with this. Try laughing instead of going off when people are tripping on you for no reason. So for example, you go through the drive through, you're dealing with service workers and they're pissed, right? Your waiter waitress is not giving you good service. You might think, oh, they're tripping because I'm black. And sometimes even if it's a black person, they might be tripping because you're black. They're like, whatever, black people don't tip. Dr. Shenita was like, my kids make a joke because like she will tip $100 to a waiter who wasn't a good waiter, who wasn't a good waitress, who wasn't waiting their tables the way that they should. And her kids are like, three, two, one, because every restaurant they go to, when she does that, they come back to her crying. And they're like, my coworker stole my tips. My husband just cheated on me. I just found out my mom's sick. I don't know how I'm gonna blah blah blah. I wasn't sure how I was going to, get my tires changed and my oil changed. And I'm telling you, you just made, the mathematical difference, the financial difference in my life. Thank you. And she was, and Shanita's in a place where she can do something like that, right? She can hand out these $100 tips. The late Mr. Uppity, he tipped a Starbucks waitress. He tipped her, a barista, tipped her $500, and I was like, "Well, why'd you do that?" I mean, I thought it was cool, but I was just like, why? And he's like, baristas go through all kind of stuff, and I was a barista at a number of different, places. You are definitely overworked and underpaid and highly stressed, but also he's like, I am establishing top tier service for people who look like me. So when the next black man and the next black man and the next black man who walks in here with a collector's t-shirt with a hole in it and cargo pants, people aren't just going to look at him crazy and decide he ain't got no money, he shouldn't be here. They're going to remember I look just like him, and I tipped that waitress $500 in front of everybody. And, it's going to make a collective, you know, it's going to have a collective effect on our community. And he was always thinking ahead, with things like that. But anyhow, sometimes people, you think they're being rude to you, but it's like, well, you didn't do nothing. Sometimes people are just going through things and they act how they act. That has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. And I think that it's a lesson in depersonalization when you can tip somebody $100 who didn't really give you good service. It's a lesson in detachment and depersonalization. Don't take that shit personally. It is not personal. Don't let it ruin your day that somebody rolled their eyes at you in the car, on the street, road rage. It's like, oh, you're already late to work anyway. That's why you're mad. That's why you're honking. That's why you're swerving and switching lanes. Like, you could be mad at me doing the speed limit all you want to. You're having a rough day. Anyhow, the next great big heading she had was the more you learn, the more you earn. And she gave us pll.harvard.edu. Harvard, like many other universities, are giving away free courses. They're giving away free courses. You just get on there and you can complete a course, right? The more you learn, the more you earn. Sometimes it's about the way you talk to people and the way that you see things that gets you paid. And when you start understanding things and you can speak to certain things, like you find yourself in a position where people will pay just to hear you. Forget doing the work. Forget getting the job. People will hire you just, I mean, I told you, Shenita is one of these people you bring to an expo. Letitia, she's one of these people you bring to an expo and you just sit and listen because you get gems. So go on ahead if you're interested. Take some free Harvard courses at pll.harvard.edu. Um, she also dropped the fact that the original Alive product is for weight loss. It's an appetite suppressant. She did say what the other Alives were for, but I felt like they weren't the crux of the situation, so I didn't hone in on those things. So, like, there's an Alive that she takes for energy, there's one that she takes for collagen, there's one that she takes for, weight loss. And I didn't really, but the OG one, the original one, is for weight loss if you're interested. The last thing she discussed is value. And if you can see that where I've highlighted, go on ahead and like the video. Like I said, you're not going to be able to see this unless you're on a device where you can zoom in. So you're just going to have to depend on what I'm saying. And I'm wrapping up here soon because as you can see, I'm at the bottom of my screen. Okay. So master people and you'll master money. That's another thing she said. And I mean, she clocked me upside the head when she said that. I was at my sink washing my dishes laughing. I had to dry my hands and get back to my bed and start typing, in this little email draft because she was like, some of y'all are going to be in HR forever. And that's the grown up professional principal's office. Somebody says something slick to you and you slick them back. Somebody, people are ganging up on you, teaming up on you, targeting you, whatever. And you're just like, all right, then it's six of y'all. I'm about to act like seven. You get in my face like nine, I'm gonna come up 10. What? Like, and she's like, a lot of that stuff, like even, being black on the job and dealing with racism and white supremacy and anti-black racism, it's like, you know, think of this. There's a lot of anti-black black people and we still deal with them. You got anti-black people in your family. You got black people who don't want to make a kid with nobody unless she's high, yellow, pale, or non-black. And you deal with them people. You deal with anti-black blacks all the time. So dealing with an anti-black white or Asian is what to you? Is knocking you off your rocker for what reason? Let me tell you something. As much as I loved my black man and rest in peace to him, it ain't nobody on this earth that talk more dehumanizing stuff about black women than black men. So it's like, master people and you'll master money. As long as you can flex and learn how to deal with different people and how they talk and how they walk, their values, attitudes, opinions, beliefs, like you can really flex because a lot of people can't do that. I've met women who are in pictures cheesing with their anti-black coworker or with their white girl coworker who's like, "Oh, I've got no idea why my boyfriend asked me what your name is because he's not even attracted to black women. I mean, he said you're pretty." People will tell you stuff like that on the job. And she's just in the picture cheesing and whatever, and it's just like at the end of the day is she can live or die. She don't care. But it's like when she comes to work, she knows how to flex and deal with these people and meet people where they are to get to the money. Not to be friends, not because I want to have lunch afterwards, not because I want to go to your wedding and I want you to come to mine, but to get to a bag. And some people, what I found out in my own life, every time I'm with an A1 white girl, and forgive me for saying this like this, it just bear with me because I have to use this kind of language. Every time I'm with a pretty ass blonde hair, blue eyed white girl, she is the nicest, sweetest thing. But it's always the meth head, too skinny, on something, amphetamines, or 400-pound beluga whale. Like those are the ones who will end up giving me a hard time or decide that I'm mixed because my hair is long and start argue about my ethnicity with me. Like I got two black parents and four sets of two sets of I got four black grandparents, honey. Black girls can grow hair, don't go there. But I'm all fight the power, like I'm a recovering pro black and a recovering so-called hotep. So there are lots and lots of things that I had to let go. Like I used to be a whole female Dr. Umar. And it's not that all of that stuff is wrong, but some of that stuff is just, it'll weigh you down and you won't be able to move if you're walking around dashiki'd up and with your black power fist in the air everywhere you go. Like I remember people used to say Beyonce wanted to be white at the beginning of her career. And now we see what she was doing because everything she lets out now is bliggity, 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 bliggity black. But she was playing the game to get to the top. She knew what these people wanted to see and she played with them. She would show up to award shows dressed like Marilyn Monroe. And now she's all, Tierra Whack, Roberta Flack, Jilly from Philly. I love you, boo. Badu, Badu, Bad. Like just, she's the biggest black parade, black is king, black effect. All these songs with black in them. She's like, surprise. There's a whole SNL skit about the day white America realized that Beyonce was black. It's called The Day Beyonce Became Black. It's hilarious. But it's like sometimes you play the game. Me personally, I've never been good at playing the game. I gotta be honest. And that's why this whacked me upside the head so hard. Because I'm always quitting a job or getting fired. I'm always quitting a job or getting fired. I can't deal socially. I will outperform my peers, but socially I cannot deal. I cannot deal. So she was just like, yeah, you're gonna always be up in HR having an intervention if you can't master people. She said, learn to lead and get along with others. And of course, she said, get some leadership skills. So that means, again, going to these conferences, going to these weekend conferences and getting the notebook and taking notes and really going over your notes and practicing your notes and practicing what you've learned. I remember when I was an undergrad, I used to say that wisdom is applied knowledge. It's not wisdom until you apply it, it's just knowledge until you apply it. People are individuals. You cannot treat everyone the same. That's another thing she said. I think that goes without saying. Um, it's the reason why you could have four kids born in the same house and they all act different and they all have different values because that parent was like, well, I'm going to treat everybody equal and I'm going to treat you like I treat you, like I treat you, like I treat you. And one of those kids that made sense with the other kid, ran away because you did what you did to the other kid. Uh, hey, hey, yeah, everybody's an individual. I remember Kimmy saying that she talks to Mel in a way, or she talks to Kiki. Lord have mercy. She said she's soft on Letitia because she knows Letitia will break and she can't take it. Whereas she's really hard on Melody. And she's been hard from day one on Melody because she knows Melody won't fold. She might cook clean. She might cook and clean, but she ain't gonna fold, is what she's not gonna do. Um, she also said something that I learned a long time ago. If you're attracting the same people over and over again, it's not them, it's you. I remember I would find the same man in a different culture with a different language, different height, different skin color, different hair texture, different what, and they would be the same man. And I'd be like, holy hell, what is going on? Why do I live in the Twilight Zone? And I figured out it was me. So I could call these men all kind of narcissists and all kind of, heartless, unempathetic, abusive, exploitive, predatory, whatever. But I'm just like, you're prey though. And look at how you look at yourself. Look at how you treat yourself. High standards keep you from low quality experiences. I must have went into my own little chrysalis, a little cocoon, and leveled up. And when I came out, I met the love of my life, Mr. Uppity. I met the love of my life. I had to work on myself. Like I had to throw myself in therapy. I had to throw myself in the gym. I had to change what I was eating. And it's not like I gave up anything. It's not like I gave up meat or gave up cheesecake or gave up whatever, but it's like just the way that I was eating, the times that I was eating, the amounts that I was eating. Because your gut can throw your mental health off. The microbiome in your belly and your intestines and that third brain, right? Because your heart is a brain is a brain, and your gut is a brain. And you can confuse yourself with what you eat when you've got too much red 40 and yellow 6 or yellow 7, whatever it is, in your system. When you got too many hot Cheetos and sour cream and onion lays in your system, you can throw yourself into a mood. You'd be surprised. I haven't had my coffee today. I told you guys about my coffee and how my car broke down around the time that Anthony and Stormy still allegedly worked together to get my channel demonetized. And so I order my groceries, and because of tipping and taxes, I try to do that as little as possible. But I didn't have my coffee today, but because I had that Balkan breakfast, like I'm okay. Like I'm not like super duper high energy, but boy, is my mind clear. It's clear because I woke up this morning, I ate some smoked Gouda cheese, some smoked tinned fish. I had feta cheese, I had serrano peppers, I had lengthy bell peppers, I had onions marinated and white wine vinegar with fresh dill cut on it. I had some Kalamata olives and some cherry tomatoes, some pepperoncinis. Um, and some rye bread with butter. Oh, and some boiled buttered potatoes with salt and dill. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear how that sounds up against a bag of hot chips or Cool Ranch Doritos? Or even if I had both in the same day, just your functionality is so much different. So, really, you have to make the change in yourself. Like when you're young, you want to change the world, but when you're older and more mature, when you understand the world, you want to change yourself. You really have to. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. I don't want to belabor the point because I don't want this to be a long video. So, she hit us with the beyondthegame.org, beyondthegame.org, beyondthegame.org. That is where you can go to pledge $5 a month for a menstruating child in Africa, specifically Ghana, I believe, Ghana or Nigeria, to have maxi pads or whatever kind of pads that she's using. People were just like, well, why don't you get him some Diva cups? And she's like, do you want to use a Diva cup? Do you dig inside of your body when you're on your period to rinse out some little cup and reinsert it? Do you get your whole hand and part of your forearm red with like, be for real? Why you want them to do what you don't even do? You don't use a Diva cup. You don't use a sponge. There's a sponge, like SpongeBob, like a sea sponge, like an organic sponge. You can stick up there like a tampon and pull it out, wring it out, wash it out, and put it back in. And she's like, be for real. Some of these places don't even have clean running water. Why? And then some people wanted to send her some pads, and she was just like, I do not want you to send me no sanitary napkins. You know how much it will cost me to pack those and fly with those and bring those over? Like, just pledge the $5. So these girls and these families and these orphanages, they can get the pads from their local stores where they are available and have them the way that you buy your pads from your local stores and use them and discard them. And then she got into talking about how, the disposal of blood in different African countries, like you'd be surprised. I remember being on my period with a Somali family in Kenya. And, in America, we wrap our, we're told in our culture, wrap your pad up in the new pad's wrapping, like fold it and you throw it away. Ain't that what you do? You fold it up and you throw it away. You might take out that garbage in a couple of days or a week. You might tie it up in your house and then, but like when I was in Kenya, girl, when I tell you if I could not throw my pads away inside the house trash can, it couldn't be the kitchen garbage can, it couldn't be the bathroom garbage can, it had to be in the dumpster outside. You could not dispose of blood in the house. You couldn't do it. And where Shenita has been, right? Because I've been to East Africa, she's been in West Africa. I ain't never been in West Africa. But in West Africa, they burn the blood. What you think of that? Like it's just because there's so much witchcraft and there's so much manipulation and there's so much that people can do to you when they have your blood. And so they dispose of it. I know even with Muslims, you find Muslims if when they clean their hair out of a brush or clip off their nails or lose a tooth, they'll bury it or burn it. And it's just like, why are y'all burying and burning stuff? I mean, Muslims who live in the West will flush it down the toilet because that's basically the same. But some of us as Americans, we might just clip, clip, clip and throw it in the trash or clip, clip, clip it onto the floor, clean it up off the floor, sweep it up in the dustpan, throw it in the trash, don't think about it. And they're like, because over there are some people, if they really want to hurt you, they might go through your trash. I've thrown things away around the world. And I'm not going to give up what country, but I've been to Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Zanzibar, Cape Town, South Africa, London, um, Amsterdam, Hong Kong, and in certain places, people have returned my garbage to me. Like went through the garbage, is like, did you throw this away? And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like a really old resume. Oh, well, I just thought you needed this information. I'm just like, what the hell are you digging through the garbage for? Look, don't ask. Don't ask. But bottom line, Shanita is not taking your little $5 a month. She's not pimping your little $5 a month. It's going to where it needs to go to. And one of the things that I love about Shanita is that she will show you the proof. She will be like, this is where for everybody who bought a global change maker t-shirt, it's like, look, this is the house. This is what you're building every time you buy a t-shirt. And people were like, is the house furnished? She's like, the roof ain't even on that mug yet. Wait, the roof ain't even there. But, she was showing us construction. And I bet you what? I bet you finish a project, Marceau. I bet you'll be finished before anything Marceau's ever built. Anyhow, she closed with the win formula because they were asking her, how do you juggle this, and this? How do you juggle being a mom and an entrepreneur and this? She said, I don't. I win formula. Win. What's important now? W. What's I important in now? That's all you do. What's important now? So for everybody talking about juggling, I got to give this much time to this much time to this. She's like, when I was in Africa, this, and this was important. When I got home to my kids, all of a sudden something else was more important. My kids were more important than what I was doing this in Africa. So that came first. Sometimes this will come first. Sometimes A comes first. Sometimes A come last. What's important now? That's the win formula. What's important now? And that's that. She said, find your niche and get rich. I could swear the word is niche, but she said, go and find your niche and get rich. And she was talking about the Alive products, and she was just like, y'all don't buy Alive because it's an amazing product. You buy it because you're buying my personality. Y'all buy it because I love it. And you can sell anything that you love. That's why some people, they get to be bishops and pastors and whoever, because they love the Lord so much, they love the church so much that they become these church employees because they believe in the product that they're selling, especially when the product is God. They believe in the salvation that they're slinging. They're not playing. They're like, I'm not only a client, I'm the president of the blah blah blah. So it's like, people, what is that guy? There was a guy on TikTok. I forgot his name, but he's just like, sometimes you got to eat a whole cucumber a day. And he was tearing up them cucumber recipes. I mean, tearing up them mugs. And when I tell you, there are thousands of people who are, his name is Logan, who are like, all right, Logan said, sometimes you got to eat. And they are black, white, Asian, Arab. They're everything, every religion. Cucumber sales going wild because this guy got on there and was like, sometimes you got to eat a whole cucumber, and he was messing it up. Today he done kimchi the cucumber. Tomorrow he gonna, put some everything bagel seasoning on it with some lox and some capers and some, you know what I'm saying, and some sour cream and some whipped cream cheese and some fresh dill. And now there's a restaurant where they have something called the Logan cucumber salad, named after him, where you can get a salad that he created on TikTok because he was tearing that food up. He find your niche and get rich. Some of us, we love our hair. Whitney White. I talk about Whitney White a lot because Whitney White and I, it's funny because we're not doppelgangers, but we look like we could be sisters. Like, we look like we could have the same mom, same dad. Um, we have crazy stuff in common. We also, among other things, we have the same hair type child. Our hair would be the same length at the same time. We would need to big chop it at the same time, like just going through learning how to make the creams and the shea butters and whipping this and that together at the same time. But Whitney White, Natural 85, she is the black woman behind the black female owned melanin hair care products. Find your niche and get rich. She was online taking care of her hair. She wasn't playing about having healthy, long, full, thick hair. She didn't want to be a perm girl no more. She didn't want to be a silk press girl no more. She didn't want to have to rely on weave anymore. She's like, nah, I'm going to figure the science of long hair out. And whenever my hair breaks or whenever I neglect it or dye it or something, I'm going to cut that mug off and get recommitted to the process. And we watched her for like what feels like a decade. And melanin hair care, every time you get on her website, there's something sold out. There's something that just got refilled and just got sold out because the proof is in the pudding. You can look at her hair and her daughter's hair all down their back and be like, oh, I bet. Because there's love in it. There's love in it and there's pride in it. That's why it's called melanin hair care, because obviously, us melanated folk, we have different hair from people who don't have as much melanin. But anyhow, she said, find your niche and get rich, child. Um, the last thing she did say, I mean, it was about Love and Marriage Huntsville, but she said that her words were edited. She said that whole, hey, Destiny, I haven't seen you in a long time. She's like, I didn't say that. I don't know where that came from. And somebody slowed it down for her and was like, we're looking at your mouth on mute and you are not saying, hey, Destiny. What were you saying in that moment? And that just goes to show when Marquez was talking to Carlos about good and bad edits, and Carlos was like, no, we don't do bad edits. We are not using AI. You have to say those things in order for us to put it there. Like, it's like, nah, y'all do some crazy ass edits. And Shenita would know because she was on NFL Wives. That's OG reality TV. Like, it wasn't a whole lot of reality TV on at that time. I mean, sure, there was the Real World and there was Survivor and there was, the Biggest Loser or, the Weakest Link, but there wasn't a whole lot of, like there is now, you know, where there's Big Brother now and there's all kinds of Love Island and The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and Love and Hip Hop, this, that, and the third city. Real Housewives of 15 different cities. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of that back then. So, she knows what it's like. to just, it's not a good or a bad edit. It's just editing, and I was acting up, and that's what it was in the scene. So anyhow, that's what she said about Carlos and his camera magic. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. Well, unless it's coming from me, of course, because I am a stickler for honesty. Anyhow, whoops. There we go. All right, y'all. So this is still 40 minutes. I don't know, held y'all hostage. I appreciate y'all for being here. But this is just really a video to put the millimeters on the game that Shenita dropped. Again, her live is an hour, and I didn't want these things to take an hour, but it's already 40 minutes. And also to let her know who her audience is. Like Shenita, when you say take notes, we taking notes. Just to let you know what these millimeters are made of. Like we listening. we listening. We ready. We ready. Uppity and I'm out of here.